My name is Jill Coil, and welcome to another episode of No One Dies from Divorce, where we talk the nitty-gritty aspects of divorce and help each other come through this not only surviving, but thriving. I'm a divorce attorney, and I'm interviewing other experts and people just like you who are going through or have been through a divorce, so you can have the latest and greatest information on all things before, during, and after divorce. Let's dive in. All right, we're so excited for another episode of No One Dies from Divorce. We are here with a special guest, Nicea DeGering. We are so excited for you to be here to share your story, and I know that it's going to resonate so much with so many of our listeners. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here with you.
So let me introduce Nicea. She's been a television news reporter and anchor on ABC4 and now co-host of the Emmy award-winning morning show Good Things Utah for more than 2 decades in Salt Lake City. She has covered stories like Elizabeth Smart's disappearance and the 2002 Olympics and interviewed everyone from presidential candidate Mitt Romney to superstar Garth Brooks. In her spare time, Nicea can be seen and heard on local TV and radio commercials, visiting her daughter in college at FIT in New York City. I know that was just a new move, or cheering on her high schooler at swim meets. Her favorite child is and will always be fuzzy blonde Goldendoodle named Miles.
You might hear him, like he might make an appearance on this podcast, whether invited or not. He may walk through. He's chewing on a toy right there. So we'll try to keep him under control.
Okay. Well, welcome to the show, Nicea and Miles. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. You know what, Jill, you and I met when you were on Good Things Utah.
I know.
And interviewed you several months ago and took your book home. And I'm a big highlighter. So I've highlighted so many parts of your book that were super helpful to me. So thank you for that. I feel like we made a connection and it was a good connection.
Yes. Thank you so much for your support. And after hearing a little bit about your story and what you were going through, it resonated obviously with what I do and what I'm trying to do by inspire and help others. But I knew that you could be just an absolute positive light for people that have gone through and experienced a little bit of what you've gone through. And so many times I bring experts on this show to talk about specific things that we are experts in, but it's another to bring somebody on that actually has that actual experience. And that's why I know that today is vulnerable for you and is scary, but at the other side, I know how many people will find strength and hope in your story. So with that, I kind of wanted to get a little bit of background so people can kind of know your story and where you're at right now.
Well, I am in no way an expert, so I'm glad you distinguish. We bring experts on, and this is the real life story. This is, you're right, very vulnerable and hard to talk about, which I think sounds funny if you're a viewer of Good Things Utah. Right. I'm sure if you've seen that show, and I've been on it for almost 2 decades, and I was on TV 8 years before that, I've shared so much of my life on camera for so many years. But when it came to this, I felt paralyzed talking about it. I have 2 daughters who were greatly impacted by this divorce, of course. And I love my ex-husband's family. I care about him. And choosing what to say and how to say it felt daunting to me.
Yeah.
And so it took me almost 1.5 years after I left him to say something about it on television. And I felt like I was in a minefield. I felt like I was tiptoeing through, trying to say all the right things. And are there right things to say after a divorce? It sure doesn't feel like it. I mean, it's so raw. And I talked about the hearts that I had to consider. And I just wanted viewers to know I'm divorced. And that's all. And I got through it. And that was 1.5 years ago. And it's crazy how time goes by. And I have someone close to me that just decided to get divorced last week. And it's the first thing I texted this person. I said, take it 1 minute at a time.
Yeah.
That was the best advice I got. Did you get that advice too?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not even sometimes taking it one step at a time. Sometimes it's just one breath. I have a whole chapter on just breathing, because that's sometimes all we need to do to be able to get the courage to just move forward.
Jill, your book's titled No One Dies from Divorce. I thought I was dying.
Yeah.
I thought I was dying. Like, I thought that's not true, actually. I'm dying.
Yeah.
Like there's such painful moments, and you think you're tougher. I thought I was tougher than I was when I was on the floor in my kitchen and I couldn't get off the floor in my kitchen. Yeah. Let me back up for a second. I met my husband in high school. I mean, we've known each other since we're 15 years old. He's all I've ever known in my life as far as serious relationships. We got married at 22. And so this is a lifetime of this person with me. And we have 2 beautiful daughters. And I feel like with everyone's divorce, there are pieces to the puzzle. And the pieces don't fit the way they did at the beginning. And then pieces fall off the board. And you are left trying to pick up the pieces and put them together and try to find out how to continue. Yeah. And I made the decision that I couldn't continue. I made that decision. It's not a decision he wanted. And it was very painful for everyone involved. And that was more than 2.5 years ago. And so I think those first weeks after, here I am still going on television every day. And I don't remember a lot of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think I was in shock. I think I was just in the mode where you just talk and you do, but your brain is like just getting you through moment by moment.
Right.
And I remember someone saying to me, it takes 2 years and then you'll be great. And I thought, are you kidding me? It'd been 2 days. And I was like, I can't take this kind of pain. It was the kind of pain that I could see it almost, like I could feel it. I felt pain in the air.
Yeah.
I've never felt that before. The guilt, the feeling of failure.
Mm-hmm.
I fix everything. I'm a fixer. I got this. And I couldn't have that. I couldn't fix it. And like there was so many emotions, and I wrote in my journal because that helped me so much. Like I took my journal places, like I had it with me. And no one's ever read it. No one ever will. It's for me. And it's the best thing I did. I didn't make sense in a lot of it, but I said like the pain is palpable. I can feel it. I can taste the pain. I've never felt anything like this before.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you can describe it. I watched friends go through divorces. It's not anything I ever wanted. And when I did it myself, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. This is what this feels like. And it's awful.
Yeah. And that's one of the things with my book. When I wrote it, I knew that I was probably going to get a lot of backlash on the title, because there are so many people that write me and say, no, I actually feel like I'm dying. or they say, you know, I known somebody that has died from divorce. But when you read it, which you have, you understand what I'm getting to in the fact that we're all strong enough to get through the divorce. We may not know it at the time. And there's obviously mental illness that comes into play that I talk a lot about in my book that needs to be addressed and taken care of. And then there's also domestic violence and abuse, which both of those can go into effect in making divorce even harder as well. So when I say no one dies from divorce, it's the understanding that just like your situation, though you can't see it right now, though you may not feel it, you're living in this pain. If you can just take that step of breath, you know, and then eventually a step, and then eventually a day, and then, you know, you will move forward, and we can get through this. And then, you know, at the end of this podcast, I hope we get to share the positivity that has come through it. So that's what I mean from no one dies from divorce. And I love that you bring your vulnerability, your story, because so many people feel that right now.
loved your title because I needed someone to tell me you're not going to die.
Yeah.
Like I actually loved it because it feels like that. And the reality for most people, the reality is you will get through this. Yeah. The reality is it's going to be okay. And you can't see around it at the time. And I read books and I got my highlighter out, and books like yours got me through when I felt like I wasn't going to get through. I could read and there were shared experiences. And so, no, the title I think is very true because you can do hard things. I remember someone texting me saying you're stronger than you think you are. And I think I was like laying on my bathroom floor at the time. And I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. But that got me up. You're stronger than you think you are. And I got back up. And it's the collective getting back up that you suddenly look back and a year's gone by, a week's gone by, 2 months have gone by. And for me, journaling was a huge part of that. Is I would write in that journal and then I would look at the week before and I was like, I made it a week. I didn't think I could make it an hour. Yeah. And that type of being able to look at that and my thoughts then and how I changed and I grew from that week or that day or that month helped me so much.
I love that. So if you're looking at and you're giving advice to yourself, 2 years ago when you made that decision to leave, what advice, the best advice you think you can give yourself?
Oh, that's a tough one. Like, I knew it wouldn't be good and it was far exceeded. Yeah. My expectations of what wouldn't be good. My advice would be time heals everything, and time is the toughest thing to go through of all. And I've had people message me and say, how did you make it through? And I said, there are days I don't really know, but for the most part, it is relying on people, reach out, not in. I definitely reached out. I definitely said I needed help. And that was so great. I had people checking on me every day. I would reach out as much as I did or more instead of go inward. I would write in that journal and do you know what's so interesting too, Jill, is I can see the first 6 months I wrote every day. Sometimes I wrote twice a day. And then I could see when it would trail off and I wouldn't write for 3 days and then a week and then 3 weeks. And my mental state was slowly improving. Therapy helped me a lot. Friends are therapy to me. My friends, I can't tell you how many times they got here with pizza and I don't even think I ate it, right. But they brought it and sat and listened to me. And they maybe heard the same story 5,000 times and acted like they'd never heard it. And let's talk about it again. Right. And find my other advice for me. And I did this, but find the positive change. Like if you're going to be different, if this is a lesson to learn, and I'm not perfect and I made mistakes. And if there's a lesson to learn in this, where do you find it? How do you get back up and how do you find that lesson? And I had to take a good look at myself and a good look at accountability and what accountability looked like before I could move on. And then I started making changes, not just to me, but to my surroundings. And it's funny, I think everyone after they get divorced does something, whatever that is for you. Like, you got to do this. I got to do this. This is what I've been thinking about. Mine was honestly get new carpet. I know that sounds crazy, but I've lived in this house for years. I've wanted new carpet for years. I was a part of the marriage that just wasn't happening. Yeah. And I wanted to buy my own new carpet.
Good for you.
And I can't tell you how I got that new carpet and I started crying. Yeah. That was making my space me and mine and feeling ownership. When you've been in a relationship your entire life, there's nothing was on my own or mine and suddenly that little thing of buying carpet, if I can buy carpet, what else can I do? Yeah. Now what can I do?
Yeah. I love that. One of the things that I wanted to talk a little bit about is going back to when you first, thought about the divorce and then, took action on it, you felt a lot of guilt. And I think divorce is still looked at as such a shameful subject. People just feel bad and they feel failures and they just feel like the whole world's looking at them like they're just not enough. And, we talk a lot about what is shame in the fact that if 50% of all marriages, end up in divorce, then we need to stop looking at this as a shameful subject. We need to look this as a movement of, hey, I'm getting divorced because I'm ready to be my authentic self that I was not able to do in this relationship. Therefore, I'm using this, event as an ability or a movement to become that more authentic person. And, I'm ready to become a better mother because of it. I'm ready to become a better friend. I'm ready to become a better human. Because if we make this a movement and stop making it a shameful act, we have something pretty powerful of a lot of people wanting to use a really bad experience as an ability to become better people. So talk a little bit about that and how you dealt with that and kind of dealt with the guilt and the shame that was coming with this divorce, to show that this doesn't define you. It's what you do with this that defines you.
I swear I use the line you just said with my teenagers all the time. I'm like, failure doesn't define you. It's what you do next that defines you.
Yeah.
It's what you do in the face of failure, in the face of adversity, that shows me who you are. Because everyone can win. But when you lose is when you see your true character,
yeah.
right? And I mean, believe me, I'm not calling divorce losing, although I lost my family. And that's real and that's honest. And that version and vision of my family that I'd had for all, my entire life, like that family I did lose. And I walked around this house for the first time on my own, and I didn't know where to sit. I didn't know where to stand. I literally, I didn't know what to do with my hands after having someone next to me since I was 15. And the sadness in that ending, I think you have to, you don't have to sit in it, but you do have to honor it and think about it and process it. And I did. And I had to take a good hard look at the part I played in it and why I made the decision that I did. But you're right. My inability to accept that I couldn't fix that took me a long time to wrap my head around and realize that there is a positivity in saying, like, there are things that you can't fix, which I can fix me. And I was unable to in that relationship. And it was time.
Yeah.
It was time to fix me. It wasn't working the way it should have been working. And my daughter, this weekend, you were talking about, I took my daughter to New York and we were having dinner with someone who asked her about the divorce. How are you doing now that it's been this long? And she said, my mom's different now. And I looked at her and I was like, am I? Like, your mom's different now. She said, she's so much more her. My mom's more confident. My mom does things I never thought she could do. My mom is a new person in 2.5 years. And that is one of the biggest compliments that she could give me is, it was time for me to let go of the guilt and the shame. And I think we all get there and arrive there on our own time. But it was time for me to say I did my best and look in the mirror and say I did my best and then start working on me.
Yeah.
And if I'm hopefully still evolving, but I definitely have in the last 2 years.
I love that. In chapter 11 of my book, Life After Divorce, I quote, "Divorce can be horrible, but it can also be amazing. It all depends on how you set your expectations and perspective." And I know when you're going through a divorce, it's like expectations, you probably don't want to set any because you don't want to be let down. And then perspective is a really hard thing to do as well, especially when you feel like you just can't see, 2 inches in front of your face. But
no, you can't. You don't have any perspective at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. But what can you tell listeners about how you were able to kind of change your expectations and perspective to help you recognize that you now have a new normal and it's a good new normal,
Gosh, I keep saying the word time, and time is of the essence when it comes to things like this, because you feel like you're underwater for such a good portion of the first couple months after. And the perspective on it It's so funny. My poor dog, like that you'll see in the camera walking around, I walked that dog until he was the fittest dog on the planet. Like whenever I felt sad, I would put on music and I would walk my dog and walk that poor little dog who was my best friend during this whole thing.
Right.
To gain perspective, truly, the writing down of how I was feeling and looking back at it validated me. My words more than anyone else's.
Right.
Validated my feelings and where I was headed. And I learned to trust me and trust my gut and stop second guessing every choice that I made. And that took time, and that took me writing it down. And that took me the days that I didn't want to get up. I got up the next day, and then the next day turned into the next week and the next week. And I don't think it's easy. I don't. Yeah. I think that saying that it is minimizes one of the most painful things in the world. It's not, but inch by inch, and some days millimeter by millimeter, you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, in my book, I want to talk about some tips about what you can do to do this, because I know it's one thing to say it and hear it, but it's another thing to do it. And, the first thing is that, it just takes a little bit of courage. And people are like, oh, I don't have courage, but I promise you, getting out of bed this morning and going and doing what you need to do is courage. And it takes courage. Yeah. And you should give yourself a little bit of credit that, I got up today and I showered, and I walked my dog, and, I made sure my kids survived, and be proud that you were able to do that. And then say, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to maybe walk a little bit farther, or I'm going to make sure I get that goal done at work. Because and then give yourself the credit that you did something. I don't care how small it is, but you did it.
You hear all the time, you can do hard things. And you're like, what is that? In fact, it's on my desk at work. Right. There's a little thing that says you can do hard things. And I want everyone out there to know your heart is different than my heart. Like, we don't have the same hearts. And your heart is just as hard for you as mine is for me. Mm-hmm. And so it's chipping away at those little things every day. I'm in my 40s. Like, it's so hard to look at the next chapter of your life and the rest of your life. And, oh my gosh, am I going to be alone? Is this what I've chosen? And how did this happen? And I think that spinning mindset for me did not serve me. Right. My mindset had to be, what am I doing today? What do I need to get done today? What's hard for me that I can chip away at today? Yeah. Rather than, is this me when I'm 60? Is this me when I'm 75? Like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. And that is overwhelming. Yeah. But you can do today. And when I broke down that to sometimes I can do this afternoon, and what do I have to do right now? Bite-sized pieces became, you can do hard things. I did it. I did this. And it's taking it step by step.
I absolutely agree. Like, when we start looking into the future and we start playing that what if game again, we're always going to just be disappointed. And it can get overwhelming, but that's why we talk so much about just taking today. What can you do today, to put one foot in front of the other to achieve something small? And by doing that, you did something good, and it helps you, just like you said, get through the days, and then the weeks, and then the months, and you're continually building up to where you are now doing things for you. I think, and maybe you can relate to this in your situation, is as women, as moms, we're just fixers, right? When we get married, we just kind of, especially in the Utah culture and the way that we were raised, we just kind of put our head down and take care of everybody else, because that's what we were supposed to do. And that's what we were raised to do. And then we get down in this marriage and we're like, oh, wait, I don't even know what makes me happy anymore. Like, I haven't even looked up to say, what does Jill need? What does Nisha need? And, in a divorce, all of a sudden you get, some alone time, because, either your kids aren't with you all the time, your spouse isn't with you all the time. And you kind of start panicking in this loneliness of, what am I going to do? Am I going to be lonely? I don't like this feeling. But I think that we needed to hear this. Like, first of all, that's normal. Like, nobody loves to be alone.
Totally. And it's actually, like, I love that you said it's the first time that everyone's gone. Like, the kids are gone. Yeah. And it's just you. And instead of feeling magical, like that you dreamed of when you're married and the house was chaotic and everything was chaotic and you just wanted quiet, it's a quiet that envelops you. And it's sad. And it was sad. That first time was sad for me.
And then, but you can turn it around as like changing your expectation and your perspective to what you can do in that alone time, which now is for you. For the first time in a really long time, you can turn around and say, what do I need? Like, I want to take a hot bath and drink a glass of wine tonight, or I'm going to go out with my friends. I mean, I can't even remember the last time that I can just say, I'm out, I'm going to a movie with my girlfriends without having to turn around and make sure my kids are taken care of, or my husband. Like, that's the dream to me. So I know at the time, and just like you said, the first time is always going to be hard, but this is okay to be a little selfish and say, you know what, I need this for me, and I'm going to be okay accepting it and doing it.
It's so hard to accept that you can have self-care and still be a good mother and citizen. Like it but is. Like we have a problem with that. We're like, am I still a good person if I take a hot bath? Along with my poor dog who's really fit. And hold on, I have to open the store for him. Hold on. Okay, go buddy. There you go. My fit dog. Along with that, my heating bill, I think, went way up because I took 5,000. I took 5,000 off. That's what I did to calm down. That's what I did to take a deep breath. Is I went and took a bath. I think it's okay. It's okay to visit sad because we all get sad. In fact, one of my friends calls it the sads. Do you have the sads? Yeah. And I go, I have the sads. And she's like, let's visit. And then let's get up and go. And that's how I saw it. Like I had a lot of days with the sads where I had to cry it out and then go. And I think it's unrealistic to say, you won't be sad. You will be fine. Everything will be fine. I hate the word fine. And I think I use it a lot. I don't want to hear I'm going to be fine. I'm not fine right now.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not be fine right now. Let's visit that and acknowledge it and look at it. And then let's get up and keep going.
Yep.
And I found that sometimes I had to visit it for a minute every day or an hour every day.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, those visits got shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
And I found me, and I think that was a lot of the issue is marriage for 24 years, you're a couple. Like I was individual at work, but here I wasn't. And what do I like and who am I? And in fact, what color of carpet do I like?
Right.
I don't even know. Like what do I want? And all of that is scary and exciting. It's exciting at the same time to find your next chapter.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you've brought up really two important points that our listeners are that I say all the time. First of all, finding your tribe is really, really important in divorce. These are the people that are going to be with you when you don't want to be alone. Because again, accepting and sitting in your loneliness is different. It takes time, and it takes you getting to a point where you're okay. We never want you sitting in your loneliness when you're struggling with depression and you're having this crisis of not wanting to be alone. So find your tribe, that those people that will be there at the the snap of a finger when you call out and say, I need somebody here. Don't be afraid of that. And then second of all, being proactive in finding ways that help you cope with the loneliness. I think that's really, really important, Nisha. I also think that when we're going through this and we're, so many times we sit there and we're just thinking these what ifs, like, well, what if I did this? Or what if he did that? Or what if, we're just going, what if? But we have to change our perspective to not what if, but to next time. Because if you use this experience as an experience to play the victim and to blame the other person for 100% of everything that went wrong, you're never going to turn inward to think, what do I need to do next time to become this person or to become a better friend or a better parent? And we can't sit there, right? Because no matter how much you want to say it's 100% the other person's fault, it never is. It never is. And so change your perspective to say, instead of what if, next time. And that really helps you start focusing on what you can do, like you said, to not fix yourself, but to change behaviors, or to become more empathetic, or to be able to really understand what you need in a relationship to benefit from.
Jill, do you know what word I like too that helped me a lot? You said change this from this. Mine was I like to use the word but. We all use the word but. I'm sad, but it will be okay. I had to do this. I did the right thing, but this makes me sad. And but kind of negates the first thing you said. Yeah. If you notice it, it kind of negated everything you just said. So what I've tried to do is, and I'm sad, and I will get through this. I feel like, what's another example? I made mistakes, and I'm going to resolve them and fix them.
Yes.
I'm not perfect, and I'm a good person. And that and changed so many things for me. I remember like I felt angry and sad and all these things. And I thought I had to be sad, but I'm okay. Sad, but I'm sad, and I miss my family. Yeah. It doesn't have to be but. And those things coinciding for me helped me see it so much differently. I stopped focusing on this or that and went, all this can exist together. And my mind's so jumbled, it's okay. It's okay for it to exist together.
Yeah.
That was helpful.
I love that, because I always feel like but ends with an excuse. And again,
it does.
Excuses are the brick walls that are keeping us from achieving and reaching our potential and our opportunities. So if we stop with the excuses, we're going to be able to break through this wall to get us to where we need to go. One of the things that you can do to do that is focus on what you want before you start thinking about how to get it. Because one of the things is a lot of times we end our marriage, or the divorce is imminent. We don't even know what we want. We don't even know, I talk about this in my book about how we stop dreaming when we're married, because, dreaming about what we want, or it seems selfish. Or I just remember I stopped daydreaming, and I was just like, so when we're at this point where divorce is coming, if you change your thinking and start dreaming again, what do you want? It's going to help you then take those movements or those steps to get there. But if you don't know what you want, then of course you're never going to be able to move forward to that actual goal.
If you don't change through this process, if you don't take a good hard look in the mirror and change during this process, like it's for naught. You're going through something really hard, and hard things hopefully make you a better person. Like we talked earlier, that's where your character comes through, and you come out the other side and you move forward. And that's like, if you take a step back, take two more forward. Yeah. And that's what you're hoping is, like you said, your dreams and what do you want and what changes are you making in you. You're never changing the other person, right? That's why you are right here. That's why we are where we are. You're not changing them, but you can change you. And I had to look at what I could control. Yeah. Because you feel so out of control of so many things. And what I could control was me. Yeah. And how I responded and how I reacted. And that gave me a sense of control back, as far as, I've never been divorced. I didn't understand half of what the attorney was saying. Yeah. I felt lost. I felt like I'm an intelligent person. And what the heck did you just say to me? And what does that mean? And why are we doing that? And if I ask you to explain, you're going to charge me how much? Like, I felt so frustrated. And my control was how I react, what I do next, what I have to get done today, my list, and what I'm doing for myself later. And that's where I kind of fought back to find myself again.
Yeah. I say divorce is the perfect opportunity for you to regain focus and to recognize you are worthy and deserving of creating opportunities for yourself. So now you're here 2 years later. What opportunities do you believe you've gained from your divorce?
It's such a good question. I lost me. And a lot of pieces of me over time. And I think sometimes that can happen in a relationship. And that's probably a lot my fault of what I accepted and allowed and morphed into. Yeah. And I can take accountability for that. But the pieces of me that I wanted back, 2 years later, I'm putting them back together, and I'm finding a me that I don't even know if she existed at 22 when all of this began, or 15, but she does at 49. She does. And she's stronger than I thought I was. She can get up off the floor and move forward one step at a time, and sometimes 5 minutes at a time. And like my daughter said, I'm different. I'm proud of how different I am. Yeah. I'm not perfect, but I'm evolving. And that person that said in 2 years, you'll feel differently, darn it, they were right. Yeah. It took me 2 years to truly go, okay, like I can survive. Yeah. Like divorce didn't kill me. Jill's right. It didn't. It made me stronger. Yeah.
And so now you look at life after divorce, and how does that look for you? I had a client once describe that when he was married, in his marriage, he saw everything as black and white because, they didn't see eye to eye. And he said that when, the divorce was finalized, he felt like color came back into his life, into where he was able to see things more in color. And it was inspirational and inspiring for him to be able to realize that he was missing out on so much joy. So for you, how does your life after divorce look?
I think you've heard of the butterfly effect, right? Like these little tiny changes that I've made that have brought me so much closer to me and who I am. And instead of fearing what's coming the next 20 years, I don't fear it now. I welcome it. I'm excited about it. And I'm excited for the opportunity to become a little bit more me every day in the next chapter. I wake up hopeful, and I didn't before. I have a lot of hope for my daughters, for me, and what I'm going to do next. And the fear is gone. And again, if you're at home going, what on earth is she talking about? It takes time. Yeah. And I could not have said that 2 years ago, or 5 or 10. Right. The hope for change, and the hope for a future that I can create, and that I decide. Yep. Makes me excited.
That's amazing. Niceas, like I said, this was going to be amazing for our listeners to be able to see this, because like I said, I say it all the time, but you are living truth that you will be okay. And I know, just like you said, it's sometimes you get sick and tired of hearing that, but the only way that we can show you is through examples of people that were in your shoes, that were on that bathroom floor, not knowing if they can get up. And now look at where you are. And
for all of you that mowed the lawn for the first time by yourself and ran over plants and trimmed right into the dirt, and swore in the backyard and said, who am I thinking? I can't do this. Right. Now I should probably start a lawn mowing company. I'm that good. Yes. I did do it.
Yes.
I did it.
Exactly. And believing you are worthy of it. Remember, happiness comes within. If you're unhappy, if you are looking for your partner to be the one to fill this void, you're going to be waiting a long time, because at the end of the day, it comes within. It comes from what you knowing that you are worthy, you knowing what you need, and then you demanding it because you're worth it.
And all of you are. I mean, everyone is. Everyone's story is different than yours and mine, and everyone's story is just as important in the life they're living.
I love it. Niceas, thank you so much. You are a pure joy to watch on TV every day, from what you're doing in bringing happiness and joy and newsworthy stories and inspiring. I love what you guys are doing for Utah and for locals. And so thank you, Niceas, for sharing your story with all of our listeners. It was so inspiring, and I'm blessed to now call you my friend and know that you are a living example of strength. And I appreciate you.
Jill, I appreciate that. And thank you for giving me the opportunity and your book when I needed it most. Mwah.
Oh, thank you so much. That is another episode of No One Dies from Divorce. Remember, you can find us on all things Jill Coil. We absolutely want to hear your story and or your questions so that we can make sure that we bring you the latest information, tips, tricks to what you need to know about remembering you will survive this. You are worthy of happiness, and we know that you are going to find it. Till next time, thanks, Nisha.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, follow, and share. I'd love to hear your questions and feedback. You can contact me at community@jillcoil.com. See you next time. I am an attorney, but I am not your attorney. Any advice given on the podcast is general and shall not be construed as legal advice.